Hello everyone. Welcome to my YNR 24 spoilers. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Nikki's search, Jack versus Kane, and Jill and Victor's reconnection. Wednesday, October 8th, 2025, spoilers for The Young and the Restless are available. Fans can anticipate that Jack Abbott will pressure Kane Ashby to act morally in tomorrow's episode. Jill Abbott receives devastating news from Victor Newman. Nikki Newman also looks for solutions. Let's discuss the upcoming events in the CBS soap opera as you continue reading. Nikki Newman versus Jill Abbott. Let's begin with Jill and Nikki, who finally turned to face one another. As they grew closer over what Catherine Chancellor might desire, everything first appeared to be going smoothly. But then the conversation shifted to Kane Ashby and Billy Abbott. Things were heated at that point, and Jill no longer saw the need to be concerned about Kane's actions. Read more. Discover the events of YNR's most recent episode. Victor Newman's shocking revelation. But Victor will have some news to tell Jill when he interrupts. She is ultimately shocked by this news. So much so that Jill and Lily Winters each approach Kane about those 6 years of deceit later in the week. Even after the altercation with Kane, Jill might still support him. Victor's relationship with Adam and Victoria Newman seems to be comparable to this one. Kane receives all of Jill's support, while Billy feels like the scapegoat. The pressure of Jack Abbott. According to Wednesday, October 8th spoilers for The Young and the Restless, Jack will make an effort to persuade Kane to act morally. Although they were close, that is no longer the case. Jack can also try to remind the tycoon of what's really essential in order to establish common ground. Read this. Spoilers for The Young and the Restless. Kyle's heartbreaking find. Claire's covert relationship with Holden explodes in L.A. Audra Charles's resentment. You may anticipate that Kyle Abbott and Audra Charles will continue to irritate one another. Kyle tells his parents that he's prepared to start working and save Jabot. But I wonder if Audra will somehow, even unintentionally, thwart those intentions. The Sally Spectre case is another. Will her hopes of raising money for her own business be ruined by this incident with Billy? Billy appears more irate than ever and holds his mother responsible for almost everything. Read this. Spoiler alert for The Young and the Restless. Kane used Chancellor control to win Jill back? Is Sally truly interested in dating someone who will show such disrespect for their own mother? Keep an eye out, since Sally needs to keep in mind that Billy can turn on her at any time. On Wednesday, October 8th, 2025, which narrative are you most excited to see? Is Daniel's theory going to come true? Will Hensley's arrival lead to revenge? According to teasers and updates for the October 7th episode of The Young and the Restless, Daniel put out an interesting theory. He thought Mariah Copeland's attacker from her business trip could wish to get back at him. An update from Tessa to Sharon regarding her and Daniel's international trip. Tessa Porter informed Sharon Newman on Tuesday's episode of what she and Daniel learned about Mariah's business trip. Sharon was not only appalled by the disclosures, but also extremely uneasy. Tessa visited the motel where Mariah had been staying while she was away and asked the workers whether they remembered her. The bartender told them about the drinking, flirting, and antics that took place between her wife and an older man called Will Hensley after she showed them a picture of Mariah. Eventually, they proceeded upstairs to a hotel room, where Mariah attempted to kill him, as fans know. Whether Mariah and Will were intimate or not is unknown. Whether Mariah and Will were intimate is still out in the air. The bright side of this scenario was that, despite her best efforts to suffocate Will, Mariah did not end his life. However, hotel workers noticed that Will was extremely shaken and hurried out of the hotel, immediately paying his account, rather than waiting until morning to check out. Sharon was extremely taken aback by this information and attempted to defend Mariah, but Tessa was adamant about her wife's behavior based on what she had learned. Daniel went on to make a pretty foreboding prediction, stating that Will might be seeking revenge against Mariah for that night because he was still alive. Daniel thinks Mariah and her loved ones may be in danger. Indeed, Daniel believes Mariah may be in danger. Is this just a theory, or a clue to an impending storyline surprise from the CBS serial opera? Mariah has gone out of town for therapy, but has being so far away from home unintentionally put her in danger? However, if he didn't know Will's intentions or his personality, could he perhaps direct his animosity onto Tessa instead? Could he perhaps target Arya, Porter Copeland, the lady's young daughter? According to spoilers for The Young and the Restless, viewers should continue watching the CBS soap opera to see what happens next, since there will be more drama in this plot. Harrison's entire world could be turned upside down by Tara Locke's return. According to spoilers on The Young and the Restless, Harrison Abbott's mother should be reintroduced into his life. This child is being raised by whom? Discover why it is in everyone's best interests to bring back Tara Locke by reading on. Kyle is a child in need of a mother. Let's start with some background. Tara arrived at GC with Ashlyn Locke, that monster, and Harrison, their son. In summary, socialite Tara convinced Kyle that Harrison was his son after they had a brief affair in New York City. While Harrison has never had a consistent mother figure, Kyle jumped headfirst into motherhood. Summer Newman, Kyle's wife, became his mother after Tara was imprisoned for embezzlement, and then Claire Newman, his current girlfriend, took over. Issues with. However, neither woman is available for Harrison at the moment, so Kyle now spends all of his time pleading for Claire to accept him back, which is problematic. So why would they require Tara as an extra issue? Easy, so Claire and Kyle can rekindle their relationship while battling for Harrison's custody. Bond versus custody battle. Claire, who sees herself as Harrison's stand-in mother, would become agitated if Tara returned, and of course the green-eyed demon might also appear. Given that Tara is both Harrison's mother and Kyle's ex, it makes sense that Claire would feel threatened by her presence. However, we anticipate that Claire would side with Kyle in a custody dispute if Tara attempted to steal Harrison away, and they would be spending a lot of time together once more in that scenario. Additionally, if Kyle is married to Claire, he might be a better contender for custodial parenthood. Can you see where this is headed? What takes place in Genoa City next? Do you find the present drama boring, YNR fans? Would Tara's homecoming be a good method to get them back together if that's your goal? Or do you believe that certain people would not benefit from Tara's return? Nikki Newman versus Jill Abbott. Long-standing animosities, new stakes. The atmosphere at the Chancellor Mansion is charged when Jill Abbott and Nikki Newman finally meet in person after a long absence. Their chat seemed friendly at first. Regarding Catherine Chancellor, the matriarch who was once both their mentor and their bitterest enemy, the two women exchange courteous remarks. As her two protégés try to be kind for once, Catherine's portrait hovers in the background like a silent judge. They briefly recall Catherine's sagacity, witty remarks, and special capacity to control everyone in Genoa City. Nikki even says that the upheaval that has recently engulfed the Chancellor and Newman families would horrify Catherine. The calm doesn't last long, though, as Jill agrees, her voice growing softer with nostalgia. The subject turns to Kane Ashby and Billy Abbott. Suddenly, the gloves are removed. Kane's increasing power and mysterious business dealings are questioned by Nikki. She says Jill would want to examine more closely at what her so-called son has been concealing for the past 6 years. Jill gets agitated right away. Her maternal instincts take over like a wildfire. She rejects any criticism of Kane and writes off Nikki's worries as rumors. Nikki isn't finished, though. Her voice is low but sharp as she responds, "You've always had a blind spot where the men in your life are concerned. Colin first, then Kane." Jill, history is repeating itself. Jill lashes out, saying she won't listen to someone who has been married to Victor Newman more times than she can remember giving her moral advice. That line cuts right through Nikki's composed exterior. It briefly seemed as though the two could fight, the flaming matriarchs of Genoa City reliving decades of animosity. However, the door opens and Victor Newman enters the room before the yelling can get out of control. To Victor's surprise, the information that revolutionizes everything. Both women are immediately silenced by Victor's presence. With caution, Nikki crosses her arms. Because she is accustomed to Victor's imposing entrances, Jill rolls her eyes. She is stunned by what he says next, though. Victor has made a discovery that goes right to the heart of the Chancellor's legacy. According to sources, it might have to do with Kane's dubious international business activities, which may be connected to Chancellor Winters. Whatever it is, it's explosive in addition to being terrible. Victor gives Jill a secret packet in a cool, collected tone. He continues, "You may want to check out what your boy has been up to." Jill pulls out the folder. The color fades from her face. The camera lingers on her shaking hands as the pages scroll past offshore accounts, numbers, and a list of partners that link to businesses that were long believed to be closed. Where did this come from? She insists, her voice wavering between incredulity and rage. She gets that iconic half-smirk from Victor. "Jill, let's just say that my reach is greater than yours. You have to be aware before Kane taints Catherine's name and your business." For Jill, it's both a wake-up call and a gut punch. She is caught between being devoted to her son and being afraid that he has been lying to her all along. Both Jill and Lily Winters will confront Kane about those deceptive 6 years later in the week, as the spoilers suggest, but for the time being, Jill is still dealing with the shock. Victor is aware of the irony. As a father who watched his children make decisions that almost brought down his enterprise, he had, after all, experienced this scenario before. This situation is similar to the Victor-Adam-Victoria triangle, except Jill is torn between her maternal instinct and her moral sense. 3. Kane Ashby versus Jack Abbott, morality, tradition, and truth. Meanwhile, Jack Abbott is dealing with his own issues at Jabot. In addition to upsetting the business community, Kane's return to Genoa City has rekindled long-suppressed animosities. Ever the voice of tradition and reason, Jack feels that Kane has a moral duty that extends beyond business. In the Abbott boardroom, Jack confronts him and tells him, "You can't build your future on lies." It is a tense scenario. Two guys who represent distinct worlds and are struggling to identify their legacies are framed by the camera from opposing sides of the table. By reminding him of their time together as allies, when Kane was still regarded as a man of integrity, Jack plays on his better side. However, Kane has changed as a result of ambition and treachery. He laughs and tells Jack that strategy, not morals, prevails in the business world. It is a reference to the traditional Abbott mindset in contrast to the world of opportunism that Victor and Kane embody. It appears that Kane ignores Jack's request that he do the right thing. Behind Kane's gaze, however, something flickers, doubt, guilt, or maybe apprehension that his empire is about to fall apart. When Jack and Kyle Abbott later meet, he cautions his son against underestimating Kane's guile. Jack remarks, "Men like him always overplay their hand, and we attack them when they do." It's obvious that the Abbott family would soon be embroiled in yet another business conflict that could determine Jabot's and Chancellor Winters' futures. 4. Nikki Newman's quest for clarification. While the elites battle in penthouses and boardrooms, Nikki Newman is secretly solving her own mystery. Something more significant is going on beneath the surface, according to her gut feelings. It connects Kane's deception, Victor's unexpected interest in Chancellor Industries, and even rumors of wrongdoing involving businesses connected to the Newman portfolio. Nikki starts looking covertly. She contacts Christine Williams and Michael Baldwin in an attempt to learn more about Kane's recent financial background. She is cautioned by both attorneys to exercise caution because Kane has extensive connections, not all of which are lawful. However, Nikki isn't one to give up easily. She has endured decades of Newman family turmoil, drunkenness, adultery, and kidnappings. Even if it means betraying her husband, she will find the truth if there is one. As Nikki investigates more, she finds a troubling pattern. A series of offshore businesses and international transactions that could incriminate Kane and suggest that someone in the Newman orbit is assisting in his cover-up. Is Victor genuinely worried about keeping Jill safe? Or is he just taking advantage of the situation to further consolidate his hold on Chancellor Winters? Nikki's misgivings increase. She discovers how far this rabbit hole extends when she stealthily follows one of Kane's colleagues to a meeting at the Genoa City Athletic Club. V, Kyle Abbott, and Audra Charles, betrayal, business, and lust. Audra Charles and Kyle Abbott resume their tense and seductive dance in other parts of Genoa City. Their mutual disdain is as evident as their chemistry. Despite their perception of each other as competitors, neither is able to resist the attraction. Audra is skilled at getting under Kyle's skin, despite his insistence that he's focused on helping Jabot. In ways that both enrage and arouse him, she tests his limits, challenges him, and makes fun of his devotion to his family. Kyle is unaware that Audra might hold the secret to the next big corporate disruption. It will only be a matter of time before she chooses which side to sell the sensitive material she is holding, which includes disclosures regarding Jabot's internal conflicts. Sally Spectra is caught in the crossfire in the meanwhile. Billy's anger and mistrust of his mother could destroy her chances of getting finance for her own design business. It's terrifying to see Sally realize that if Billy can flip on Jill so easily, how long until he does the same to her? 6. The scandal between Mariah and Will Hensley. The past resurfaces. A darker plot is simmering across town, and it might soon affect the Abbott and Newman families. When Daniel informs Tessa Porter and Sharon Newman that Will Hensley, the man Mariah Copeland attacked, might be seeking retribution, he drops a bombshell. Tessa and Sharon's interactions are tight, poignant, and devastating. While at the motel where Mariah stayed, Tessa relates how she overheard her wife drinking, flirting, and then disappearing upstairs with Will. Tessa finds it difficult to make peace with the woman she loves after hearing the bartender's memories of Mariah's unpredictable actions. Sharon's world falls apart when she hears this. After decades of attempting to assist her daughters in overcoming trauma, she now worries that Mariah has slipped into a destructive pattern of her own. Daniel's hypothesis, according to which Will survive the attack and is currently plotting retaliation, looms large over the scene. No random character on The Young and the Restless is ever really random, as viewers are aware. Will Hensley's comeback might usher in a new period of turmoil motivated by retaliation. What if Will travels to Genoa City for Tessa, or possibly Sharon, in addition to Mariah? Is this enigmatic character going to pursue the entire Newman circle as the next big bad guy? 7. Return of Tara Locke, rekindled love and custody wars. And just when it looks like Genoa City can't handle any more chaos, it looks like another well-known person might be returning. Tara Locke. When she disclosed that Kyle Abbott was the father of Harrison Abbott, Redding Munsell, she completely upended his life, as fans recall. Tara disappeared from the canvas after being imprisoned for embezzlement, but her absence has left a noticeable gap in her son's life. Tara wants her son back, and there are reports that she might be released shortly. The ramifications are enormous. Kyle, who is already dealing with heartbreak and guilt from his breakup with Claire Newman, Haley Aaron, will have to face his history in the most agonizing way imaginable. Tara's homecoming might be disastrous for Claire. Since Claire has been Harrison's mother for months, the young kid even refers to her as Mommy Claire. Claire may lose both Harrison and Kyle if Tara regains custody. However, this catastrophe may actually strengthen Kyle and Claire's bond rather than drive them away. A reunion sparked by pandemonium could result from fighting for Harrison. Additionally, Tara's reappearance may have a hidden agenda in typical Y&R fashion. What if she is returning not only to support her kid, but also to get revenge on those who abandoned her? 8. Legacy, pain, and power, the linked themes. The sense of interconnectedness across all the storylines is what gives this episode its impact. Nikki's appeal to Victor and Jack's appeal to Kane both ask the men they love to put honor before power. Victor's long-standing conflict with Adam is reflected in Jill's unquestioning devotion to Kane. Furthermore, The pattern of Newman women bearing the burden of unspoken transgressions is reflected in Mariah's guilt-ridden concealment. The city as a whole appears to be locked in a karmic cycle in which the mistakes of one generation are repeated by the next. Every character is battling for a cause. Jack seeks atonement for the legacy of his family. Jill wishes to preserve the appearance of family harmony. Nikki is determined to find the truth before it ruins her marriage. Cain desires power, but how much will it cost? As remorse overcomes them, Mariah and Tessa strive to keep their marriage intact. Ghosts from the past prevent Kyle and Claire from starting a family. 9. What takes place next? A number of arcs on The Young and the Restless are about to clash as the show transitions further into fall sweeps. Cain's empire collapses. Victor's information may lead to a corporate probe, which would result in a change of power between the Chancellor and Winters. Jill's breaking point. After discovering the whole truth, Jill may decide to distance herself from Cain or, worse, stand in his place. Jack versus Victor. Round 100. Jabot and Chancellor Winters' conflict over family and corporate loyalties foreshadows a new Abbott-Newman war. Nikki's risky discovery. If she finds out too much about Cain's associates, her quest for the truth may put her in danger. Mariah's reckoning. The return of Will Hensley may set off a psychological thriller narrative that compels Mariah to face her worst sides. Tara's return twist. Tara may form an unexpected alliance with someone, perhaps Audra or even Cain, which would upset the Abbott and Newman families. X. Concluding thoughts. The silence before the storm. One thing is evident by the end of the October 8th episode. Genoa City is in danger. With the private file still open on her desk, Jill sits by herself in her office, her face vacillating between anger and grief. Nikki looks out the window of Newman Ranch across town, wondering if the man she loves has been playing tricks on her all along. As Jack pours himself a drink at Society, he considers whether it's too late to salvage Cain and the man he has become. Will Hensley boards a flight with Genoa City as his ticket destination as the city lights begin to flicker over the horizon. The storm is on its way, and no family will be spared when evil strikes.